This looks so much better. Hello my brothers, my name is Daidarius and welcome to my manga collection of 2020. Now before we get into my manga collection of 2020, I will just quickly show you a video right here. So yeah. In case you're wondering how I can keep on buying more manga and make it look like that I have not used up any room more than when I did my manga haul video. This is how. Yeah, I'm just filling it up on the bottom shelf. So what I'm saying is I need a new shelf. I'm working on it, but yeah. See you. Holy shit. Now this video was shot back in summer and didn't publish it to the YouTube or Facebook or anything. I don't know why, I just didn't. But luckily, as you have quite noticed here, I have since moved and got myself some new shelves. So that means I have room for the manga I actually buy. So anywho, let's jump into my manga collection of 2020. Now to begin with, I want to do this a little bit differently. And instead of just diving directly into my manga collection, I want to think back of the year 2020. And not in the way you think, I'm going to think back of all the manga that I bought. Because each month this year, I have actually done a manga haul video presenting to you the mangas that I bought here in 2020. And to kind of show off what that is, I have actually put them over there on that shelf right there. So what you see here is 83 volumes. It is roughly 7 volumes each month that I have bought consistently in 2020. We are also talking about starting 9 new series, but that is only if you count the separate boxes of Pokemon Adventures of 9 new series. If not, then we have only started 6 new series. But nevertheless, 6 new series in 2020, 83 volumes. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but first of all, I haven't bought small singles this year, except for maybe one series. It has been more like some deluxe edition, more expensive one. And secondly, it has still pushed me beyond 350 volumes compared to the 250 plus volumes last year. So it's still an improvement. Anywho, I am not gonna stall any longer. I know why you are here. So let's jump into my manga collection of 2020. It's funny how this almost cut my head off. So I don't know if you think it's in the way, but first off is my first shelf right here. And the first one we're gonna look at is Blade of the Immortal, the Deluxe Edition Omnibus Volume 1. Now this is one of the new series that I have added to my collection this year, and I have never read this one. I'm looking forward to it, but I have a lot of other things that I need to read beforehand. Now what is good about this series, besides that it is upscaled and it is in a hardcover edition, and also the weird part that you're actually reading it from left to right and not from right to left. That is weird. But another good thing about this is that the normal omnibus, even though it has maybe just recently completed is that it is pretty much out of print. Dark Horse doesn't like to print new things, or at least keep its current series in print. So since I wanted to actually start collecting this series, and then these started coming out, then it made it possible for me to collect these things. Now, if you're wondering how many of these is gonna be, there are gonna be exactly 10, because there exists 10 of the old omnibus. Is actually just a direct copy of the old omnibus, just upscaled a bit and put in hardcover, and that is it. So that is my first one. The next one is a very well-known series right here. I like the fact you can actually see me doing B-rolls for the first time, so that is neat. The second series that you see here on my shelf is, of course, Berserk. It is a series that I started collecting last year. Now, Berserk was originally, or the deluxe edition was originally scheduled to actually be released one every 3 months. But for some reason, they have then pushed that so there's only one every 4 months. So we only got these 3 here this year, which is kind of a bummer. I have never read Berserk. I am going to rectify it. I'm thinking that I'm only gonna read whatever I have confined in these omnibuses. Now, these omnibuses, just like the Blade of the Immortal, it is a 3-in-1 omnibus. They haven't done much else except just upscaling it. So if you have the singles, it's gonna be the same translations, the same everything, just 3-in-1s, upscaled a bit, put in this hardcover. But they are quite huge, as you can see here, and they even have this great mark on here. It is a leather bound, quite similar to the Blade of the Immortals. But yeah, I can't say much about this series because I haven't read it, but I have of course heard of the great things regarding Berserk, and most importantly, the Golden Age arc, which is confined in volume 1 to 5. So I have that to looking forward to. Also, the new upscale here is actually original upscale in the magazine that these mangas actually originally came out in. I mean, Berserk still comes out in that magazine, but it is the original format of that, the original scale of that. So that is that. And then finally, I'm gonna move my head. We have one more series on my top shelf here. Now this one is Hellsing. Again, a new series that I added this year. Again, it is a deluxe edition from Dark Horse, and I have never read this one. I have seen the original TV series, so I haven't actually seen Hellsing Ultimate. It's just the original one. But this is again a new series. There are only gonna be 3 of these. So the next one, or the final one, is gonna come out in March next year. And besides, again, being more or less a 3-in-1 omnibus, kinda, then there's nothing really else special about it, except all the crossfire chapters that have been throughout the singles have now all been taken out and put at the end of the 3rd volume, so you get just the main story in one get-go from volume 1 and then halfway volume 3, and then those crossfire chapters is gonna be at the tail end of that. At least that is what Dark Horse has said. So I'm looking very much forward to reading this series. And again, it seems like Dark Horse is doing a trend with its big series, putting them in these deluxe editions. So I am hoping, even though there are some omnibuses coming out right now that have gotten bad reviews, I'm still hoping that they are gonna end up doing Gans, because that is another series that I really want. Alright, I almost have to squat to actually be here, and I think my face is kind of distracting right now because I'm almost closer to the camera than I used to be. So, I'm just gonna talk outside of the camera, and then that'll be it, so you won't be distracted by my face. So, second shelf right here. Now, Monster by Naoki Urasawa is a magnificent series here on my second shelf. Actually, it's just a Naoki Urasawa shelf right now. And I have read Monster. I've also reviewed Monster and posted a review on here of my YouTube channel. But What I'm gonna say is that Monster is probably one of the most realistic series that I own, manga series that I own. Basically, it's just a psychological thriller TV series put into manga format. There's nothing over the top battles or anything. Everything is hold close to reality. And I love it. The pacing is awesome. The villains is awesome. The storytelling is awesome. Just everything is great. And here it is in the perfect editions. There's also exist singles, but considering that the perfect editions are as a good quality as they are, I just thought, hell, I'm just gonna buy this one instead. Now, one thing I really like about Monster Perfect Edition is, in fact, that even though it doesn't have a panoramic picture on the back of the spines, instead it creates a 3x3 mural picture, whatever you're gonna call it, when you put them beside each other, which you can see right here. Now next up we have 20th Century Boy, again by Naoki Urasawa. And this is a completely new series that I've actually collected this year. Now this series I have never read, but I will very soon, because there's only 3 volumes missing from this series, which we will get here in 2021. It is of course volume 10 and 11 of 20th Century Boy, and then the epilogue of 21st Century Boys in this perfect edition. The perfect edition of 20th Century Boy is actually a copy of Monster's perfect edition. Same size, same type of paper, same quality, all that shizzle. What I really like is that the spines form this picture here, and I'm pretty sure that this is a significant entity or character in this series, but I don't know who. My own, because again I haven't read it, but my guess would be that if you take volume 8, it has something to do with this dude right here. I also like the fact, if I don't know, can you see? Oh, I've actually caught the glare here. So in the normal ones, you can see 20th Century Boys Naoki Urasawa presented by Naoki Urasawa. You can see that here. However, this one is the only one right now that doesn't say that. It has Yohoho Kenji-kun, come on, let's play. So Yoo-hoo, Kenji-kun, come on, let's play. That is a nice touch. I can't wait to read this series. I've heard only great things about it. People still debate if 20th Century Boys or Monster is Naoki's best. I mean, I just have to read it to actually be able to say anything about that. So, next shelf. Oh shit. Okay, so this is the third shelf. Now this shelf here is a bit different because it doesn't contain any manga whatsoever, but it is still comic book based more or less, and I think it just looks neat in here. It gives a nice break for the whole comic book shelf thing here. So I'm just gonna quickly touch upon this and then quickly afterwards just move on to the next manga shit that I have beneath it. Now here I'm not gonna do as much of fancy editing and storytelling as I do with my mangas because this is not the focus, but I'm gonna quickly touch upon at least 4 of these series. So let's quickly jump into it. So this right here is actually my Control-Alt-Delete Collection Edition 1. And it is, in case you don't know, Control-Alt-Delete is just a webcomic book series, and to celebrate the first roughly 10 years of civilization and the first storyline have been wrapped, Tim, who is the author and creator of Control-Delete, created this very limited box set here. It was a Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter, but you can't get it anymore. Everything has been sold out. So I was able to get my hands on these because I've been a fan of the series since 2007 or something like that. It is 3 volumes in here. I'm not going to go into more details about it. And then next to it is the 3 not comic books on here. This is a musician book with notes and all that from a band called Shubidua. It is one of, or was one of, if not the greatest Danish folk music band ever. Anyone could sing at least one song from this band. So yeah, I'm really glad about this. Then we have two, for some reason, I have two game guides for Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 15. And the weird reason is I'm not a big fan of these games. I do enjoy parts of them, but I'm not a big fan. But I do, however, enjoy the quality of these two game guides. They are awesome. Here's what I want to touch upon a little bit more. Now, if you are European, you might heard of this series before. It is called Valhalla. It is a Danish cartoon, or was a Danish comic. It has been wrapped, but it's a Danish comic detailing the mythos of the Norse mythology. So what I liked about these in particular here, not only does it contain the comic of Valhalla, but it also, after each comic, shows the original mythos that that specific story was based on, as well as other materials. And this right here is awesome. There's author commentary, writers and artist commentary, and there's a lot of background details with the history throughout the 30 years that this series was published. Everything from struggles to shift of creative people and such. And can I just say that the covers for these are awesome. So this is the only covers really I'm gonna show you, but just look here. Look at that. Look how awesome it is. And it is a 3-in-1 omnibus series. So you have the comics, you have the background details, you have the original sagas and all that, but they are simply fantastic. Here's another one. Look at that. And of course, and then my favorite one, this is the Midgard worm. This is Thor. Originally Thor had red hair. He's not blonde like he is in the Marvel movies. But again, the Marvel's version of the Thor and Norse mythology is just an adaptation, so that's fine. And then this one with our man Loki. And last but not least, the final one here. Too much glare. There you have it, my Valhalla collection. Next to that is a very prized possession of mine. That is the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 1 and 2. The first one is the original one that came out, and the second one is just a collection of all the side stories that Don Rosa he did that regarded Scrooge's past. But this one is dear to my heart for one simple reason. This is of course the Danish version, but the reason it is simple or precious to my heart is this. I've got it signed by the man himself. I had the pleasure, the honor of meeting him, talking with him, and then he signed my book here. So I will value this to the end of my days. Which brings me on to the last one I will quickly touch upon, which is Watchmen here. I have a hardcover deluxe edition, I think, of Watchmen. I bought it actually in Forbidden Planet over in London, and I have always enjoyed Watchmen the movie. I know it has its flaws, but I still enjoy it. I always wanted to read the source material. Again, it's by the legendary Alan Moore, and it has been drawn by Dave Gibbons. So I saw this over in Forbidden Planet. I bought it. It is great. It is, of course, again, all 12 volumes in one with some additional materials that kind of expands the lore of the place. But what I didn't know, because it wasn't advertised, is there is a secret in here. And that secret is that apparently Dave Gibbons signed it. This is authentic. I didn't know it when I bought it. Apparently the store didn't know it because they didn't price it for more. But it is a happy coincidence that I appreciate. So now I have his signature. So thank you for that, even though that you didn't mean to. And then last but not least, we have Blackest Night Omnibus Edition, which is a comic that I read throughout the summer and autumn of 2020. And then just a small comic here, which is a Danish translation of Calvin and Hobbes. So these guys. I got this one from a friend of mine. She didn't want it anymore, and I've always enjoyed Calvin and Hobbes in my youth. So I thought, why not? I mean, it fits in with the rest of the comic. So this is my non-manga shelf, but let's quickly move on to my manga. I'm still not in frame. So I'm gonna continue be out of frame, but as you can see, this is the shelf beneath my non-manga shelf. So, okay. So let's talk about this shelf right here. So first up over here, we have Fullmetal Alchemist, the Fullmetal edition. I am very pleased with this series, a reason we will come to later in this video. But this is the Fullmetal edition, and it is a higher quality collection of the manga. I think it is 1 1/3 omnibus, if you can call 1 1/3 volume collected into one an omnibus. But that is what it is. So instead of being 27 volumes long, this will only be 18 volumes long. Now we are supposed to get 4 each year, but for some reason the 11th volume was postponed from this month here in December until the beginning of January next month/year. So yeah, we only got 3 this year, unfortunately. But anywho, I am roughly 1 year and 9 months away from completing this series. Another reason that this series is very dear to my heart is if I'm gonna take this volume right here. This is Scar from the series. In case you don't know the series, I'm not gonna go too much into what this series is about, except that it is awesome. It is fantastic. If you like manga, read it right now. You will not regret it. But this character right here, you can even hear how new they are because I haven't read them yet. I've read the story though. So this character right here, Scar, you can see he has a tattoo on his arm right here. Well, wouldn't you know it? It's the same tattoo that I got on mine. It continues off my sleeve here. But yeah, so back when I wanted to get my first tattoo, I have already read this, and when I saw his tattoo, I just fell in love with it and decided my first tattoo, if I'm ever gonna get a tattoo, was gonna be his. Now next series that you see here is Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. It is a very famous, or should I say infamous series in not only the manga community but also the anime community. This is Jojo's part 1, 2, 3 and 4. The rest of part 4 is actually on a shelf down below here. This is a wacky series. This right here is the very definition of the shite. Or not the shite, the shit. This is awesome, but it will not be for everyone. Now, it is very hard to get into JoJo's, even if you ignore the fan base, because it is obnoxious. I have ignored the fan base as much as I could, but still, you know, fan base. So the reason it is difficult to get into JoJo's is that this one right here, which is part 1, is a slow burner. Luckily, it's only 3 volumes long. Now, I enjoyed it for what it is, but it is a very far cry of what we consider true JoJo's. Part 2 is a lot better, and then part 3 is what pretty much pulls anyone in, and everyone in actually, because it is here where we introduce something called stands, which the series is very famous for. And then part 4 apparently is just even better than part 3 if you ask most people. Now, I haven't read part 4 yet because I wanted to wait until I have the whole collection of this new hardcover here. And I am, because there's only gonna be 9. For the longest time I didn't know how many it's gonna be, and then I found out it is actually a 2-in-1 omnibus, so it is pretty easy to figure out. So there's gonna be 9 of these, and then I'm gonna read it, and then from there on I'm gonna read forward of the rest of the parts because I don't want to miss out, but still keep collecting and supporting this series. My only issue is that these 3 here are what's considered Euphoniums because they came out in Japan. They have a specific design. They have a reiteration of the characters in Aki's current art style. And after the 3rd part came out in Japan, it got cancelled. And also there was some commentary in the end of this series. But if you look at it, you can see that they share a similar style, except that they change colors, and then of course what is down here, because that is relevant for the series, the blood mask, phantom mask I think it's called, the gem, fuck, it's a long time since I read this series, the gem that turns a pillar man into a enlightened being, and then the hand Anyway, but there is a specific art style here. But if you then look at part 4, it is of course distinct. The reason being, this is not a Jojonium, and I don't know if this is doing this in case that Japan will ever create a Jojonium of part 4 and forward, but I do not appreciate the shift in design because it kind of throws it off. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy this design. I think it is awesome. It has one volume at the front, it has the other volume contained in here's cover on the back, so that is neat. And it has the diamonds, of course, here because diamonds are unbreakable. But it still annoys me that it didn't continue with this style. Of course, again, if you don't have an updated version of a character in Araki's current style, then so be it. But you could still do this, but with purple instead, and so on. So anyhow, I'm just sad that they didn't continue with the Jojonium style here. But they are still good quality, and there's, I believe, some interviews in the back, so you still get some extra content in them. And for the omnibus, it is a great deal, so do consider actually investing in this. But Jojo, check it out if you are ready to read part 1, part 2, and part 3 before you're changing your mind. And even though there are 8 parts, this is actually not even a third of the current volumes out of the whole series, so it is a small portion of it. But yeah, enough of that. Let's continue to the next shelf down here. Next up, we have my 3 Junji Ito stories right here. It is Yugioh, it is Uzumaki, it is Tomiya. Now, there has come a lot more out of Junji Ito since I bought these initially, but I still don't know if I'm gonna continue buying his stuff because I'm not sure I'm that big of a fan of his. He is very creative of creating scary scenarios and scary through imagery. He creates very horrific imagery that will then maybe invoke some horror or scare into you. But his characters, his storytelling, there is a lot left to be wanted, except Uzumaki is a strong story. I really enjoyed it. It has a very shit ending that I didn't enjoy, but besides that, it is a very good story, at least in the horror department. Yugioh is just a solid short story, so I will of course recommend it for everyone. If you want to get into horror manga but don't want to commit to as big a book as this, then give Yugioh a shot, because it is shorter, it is not as scary as you will think, it is almost kind of funny, kind of scary at the same time. Tomiya is a collection of short stories and nothing else. The only main focus is this character, immortal character called Tomiya, who is murdered by a lot of people and then resurrected, and that is scary in some departments. There is a few stories in here that I really do enjoy. One is about a mountain hiking, but besides that, I don't enjoy this. And again, the ending is weird. But Junji Ito, he is good at making scary imagery, and I do acknowledge him for what he has done to manga. He has pushed it in a new interesting direction, but I think this is all I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna get Frankenstein and all the other stuff that's coming out, also because they are in a different design than these original things. So again, it breaks the continuity. Now, this is an interesting manga that I have yet to read. In fact, this is the next one I'm gonna read after I finish the one I'm currently on and working on a review on, but I'll get to that later on. Now, this is SunDome. This was a very hard series to complete, because you will easily be able to tell Volume 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7 are the only ones that are completely new. Volume 2, Volume 4, and Volume 8 are used. And that is because that this series got completely out of print at November last year. So I wanted to continue buying this series throughout the month, so just bought a volume each month. But when I saw everything was out, I had to act quickly because the prices skyrocketed. So I managed to get everything for fair price, reasonable price, except volume 4, which I had to pay double for if I wanted to complete my collection. And considering this was the only volume that I missed, I had to. So I'm okay that some of them are yellowed and some of them are not. That was the price I had to pay. But I'm very much looking forward to this series because some of you have actually kept supporting me and shouting to me that I need to read and review SunDome because it is an awesome story and I am very much looking forward to it. I'm just gonna do the other review first so I know how to do this series justice with a great and awesome review. So this is my 4th shelf right now. There's a lot of room for expansion over here, but that's because Jojos is still coming out, and then after that hopefully we will get part 5. I think they have announced they will. But yeah, then there's part 5, 6, so I need room for it, so yes. Now here is where I can't use my camera stand anymore because the legs are too long. And we still got 2 more shelves in this monstrosity here. I think it's also called shelf. So we only got 2 more shelves in this. How is that? So this is a shelf, but this whole thing is just. But we still got 2 more shelves before we can move on to my other shelf that got rest of my manga. So I'm gonna have to do this by hand. I am sorry. So this right here is my Dragon Ball shelf. Or more importantly, my Akira Toriyama shelf, because I also have a manga over there. So this is Dragon Ball. There's not much more I can say about Dragon Ball. Have you ever heard of any anime or manga ever? There's a high chance that you have then heard of Dragon Ball. Now Dragon Ball is one of the best series to start on if you want to get into light-hearted shonen manga, because there is a reason why everyone have talked about this, have referenced this. It is the very definition of a good light-hearted battle shonen manga. This manga is not deep in story, character, or anything, but it has adventures en masse. I love this series. This is, in case you're wondering, the Danish release. This is why it is in black. There is no distinction between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It is all one thing right here, but I just love the spine right here. And then at the end we have this manga right here. I don't even think you can call it a manga, but it kinda is. What it is that it is a collaboration between Sakuma and Toriyama, and they basically just tell you how to create manga, what they use to create manga. Panels, characters, effects, and tools they use, what to be aware of. They even review other amateurs, manga panels, and so on. It is a very good read. I don't know if it exists in English. I haven't actually researched that, but I do enjoy it. So yeah, this is my second to last shelf in this one, and then we have to go one further down. And I might just don't do a B-roll for this because I am hand holding this. This is Naruto, the Danish release. There's almost no light here, but I don't want to move them. This is so far down. So this is all that exists in Danish. Volume 55 was the last volume of Naruto. Again, most people have heard Naruto. If you like Dragon Ball, there's a high chance you will like Naruto. So if you have already read Dragon Ball but don't know what to collect next, Naruto is a way to go. There exist multiple ways of collecting it. There is the singles, there is box sets, there is omnibuses. Take your pick of what you can afford or what you want to collect and go from there. But it is a fine series. The best thing is still in the beginning of the first 27 volumes. After that, it kind of falls off the wagon of the world building has done. But besides that, just give it a go. I'm pretty sure if you love Dragon Ball, you will love this. But this is as much there is. I will, at some point, get the Viz release of this, so I can complete it. But I'm thinking I'm just gonna get all 3 box sets and just have it over with. But I'm still gonna keep this because, again, it is part of my childhood. It is the Danish one, the one I grew up with. And that also explains why all of them are white and not just only Naruto, which I believe in this, the Naruto part is white, and then what is called Naruto Shippuden is in black. Here we just distinguish between between the logo color and the number color. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I'm just gonna let's get to the next one because I'm tired of sitting down. So let's go to this shelf right here. Yeah, I'm just gonna dish the part where I'm just standing in frame and just go outside of frame and just talking to you guys. Okay, so the first one right here is Mobile Suit Gundam, the Origin in verticals. Absolute fucking gorgeous edition here. it is. I think it is maybe what inspired this to do the Fullmetal edition, even though that I know that Fullmetal edition does exist in Japan. It's just there's a lot of similarities between this one and Fullmetal edition, or actually vice versa since this came out first. But this right here is just gorgeous. I've never read this. I've only just gotten the last 2 volumes here in December. So next year I'm of course gonna read the whole thing and compose a review. But what I like about this is that each cover and back cover is like a painting. So if I just take the second one out right here and hold it up to the camera, there you go. So if you look at it, not only does it look like a painting, it also has some kind of signature. It's hard to do. Over there. Right over here. But they are awesome, they are gorgeous, they have a great painting in the front, they have a great painting in the back. There's even some fibers on there. But they do look awesome. Now I could show you all the covers, so I am gonna. So here is a quick time lapse of the covers. So there you have it, the covers and back covers of Mobile Gundam The Origin from Vertical. Again, I haven't read it. I've never read any mecha manga before, so this is gonna be a first for me, but I am looking forward to it. The only thing that's kind of weirding me out is that the spines you see here, they don't match the front covers or the back covers, and don't match each other, so I don't know why they look like that. But I mean, it doesn't look bad, it just... yeah, it just looked distorted. Anyway, let's get on to my next series. Next up is Solanin in a single volume here. It is an omnibus of, I think, 2 volumes. I don't know if you can get the singles in English. Anywho, this is the one I'm currently reading, and I am, I think, third or fourth word. So this is the one where I'm gonna try to compose my manga review that is gonna be the basis for every future manga reviews. I'm trying to do something different, not drastically different. I'm still gonna, put out my opinions on story and such like that, but I just want to construct it differently, just to maybe see what I'm capable of doing, and also if I can make the videos more interesting. Next to that is another story by Inio Asano, which is the same artist that created Solanin, and that is Goodnight, Punpun. Now again, Goodnight, Punpun is a series that I haven't read yet, but I did manage to collect 6 volumes this year. So I had this one last year, and then this year I managed to collect the rest. So it is still very new to me. Now, Goodnight, Punpun I have heard, is a very depressing tale of Punpun, and if you don't enjoy or can handle depression and anxiety and other stuff, then apparently you shouldn't read it. But I'm looking forward to it. The only thing that is irritating me, and it's only this month that I managed to confirm my irritation, is that volume 6 over here is a misprint. And you can probably guess why, because it doesn't show part of Punpun's face. Well, actually, it is printed on there. It is printed in the wrong color. So on here is the remaining part of this line right here, but it's painted or printed in black. And if you look right here, you can see that the new edition of it has the color corrected, so it matches the gray down here. And it kind of annoys me at one point that it doesn't match, but then again, this is what I got and I'm gonna live with it. I'm not gonna buy a new one just because of the misprint. But I don't know, can you see it? So if you look at the picture here, you can actually kind of see what's the pigmentation or the lines are printed in, what it looks like up close. So if you're not in direct sunlight or anything, you're not able to see it. But what I've read of Solanin right now, this is actually just kind of a slice of life of this girl right here, Miku, I think it's called. Her dealing with missing purpose and direction in her life. It is actually quite good with what I've read, but if Goodnight Punpun is at least as good as what Solanin turns out to be, then I'm looking forward to it, but it's not what I have normally gotten out of manga. Manga is often some dive into abstract or other concepts that you then put good images into and a great story, great characters and anything, whereas here it is more of a realistic slice of life depiction of mental problems. So I do enjoy it, I'm looking forward to it, but this is my top shelf right here. Alright, here we have my next shelf. I'm quickly gonna get out of the way, which is just below the one we just looked at. And this was actually the subject of my irritation of my manga haul of December 2020, which came out at 29th of December, if I'm not mistaken, at 8 o'clock in the afternoon in Central European time. Very specific, I know. But the first one is another Naoki Urasawa story, and that is his rendition of Pluto. Now the reason why I was angry, because this is a series again I bought and completed this year, so this is very new again, which means I haven't read it yet. I haven't got around to it, but I of course will. Now you might have noticed that these two volumes here doesn't have the same design as this one. For example, it's missing the SIG, it is missing this down here, it says Carlsen Manga. These two right here are German editions of Pluto. The reason being that I bought these from bookstore and the 7th and 8th volume was getting out of print, but so was the German edition. So I thought I was actually able to get the 7th and 8th volume in English and Vicious, but apparently I didn't buy Vicious 7th and 8th volume, I bought the German one by mistake. I'm usually very careful, but anywho, my German is not good. I haven't spoken German in like 15 or 16 years back in... It's not middle school, it's just above that. It's 10th grade. You are 16, basically 16, 17 years old when you're there. It's not high school, we don't have that here. But anywho, that is the last time I spoke German and I haven't used it since, so my understanding of German is very limited. Or should I say, ich verstehe ein bisschen Deutsch. And my speaking skills, as you just heard, is also an abomination. So I'm gonna have to rebuy the 7th and 8th volume and then consider if I'm gonna sell these off. I'm gonna keep them as a reminder of always, be sure that you bought the right version. Time will tell, but I thought I completed this series this year. Apparently I didn't. I mean, technically I did, but I'm still missing the last two volumes right here. So I'm gonna get those next year once they are available, once they are in print again, because I think the reason they're out of print is a certain, let's say, defining feature of 2020 going on right now. Next to that, we have Planetes. Now, Planetes is actually a quite good series. The only thing I didn't like about Planetes is more or less the rest half of this book right here, the second one. And that's just personal preference, but I didn't like the more philosophical, deep, or at least it wanted to be a deep ending. I didn't think it stick the landing. I think it actually missed the landing and just crashed and burned at the end. But this is more like a slice of life. Space janitors who are cleaning up space in the orbital part of Earth, where we have a lot of space debris and junk just in general. It is quite good. It's an interesting take on what the vastness of space and isolation can actually do to a person. So I do enjoy it. When I bought this one, the second one was completely out of print and went for, I think, a couple $100 or something. I didn't buy it for a couple $100. I went to, I think, 7th or 8th page on Google when I searched for it, found an English site that sold it to a normal price. and bought it there, and then a couple of months or half a year later it got into print again. But this is a good read, and again it is 4 volumes, or in this case 2 volumes, 2-in-1s. So if you're interested in a slice of life space janitor manga that is very, very short but might be different if you're used to shonen, then give it a go. And next to that one is a very famous manga that I've only just gotten to collect partly this year, and that is of course Vinland Saga by the same man who created Planet Test, Makoto Yukimura. I haven't read much about Vinland Saga, only the end of the Baltic Sea War arc. It is the last major arc to be concluded in Vinland Saga. Now they're on to something else. I haven't read it since. Most because I started collecting it, I wanted to get it from the beginning. But this is basically just Vikings, the manga. It is based on historical legends of Thorfinn, I believe, and other famous characters. But I've then done its manga thing where it just ups the action and ridiculousness to manga levels, but still keeping it kind of, grounded. The art style of what I've seen in here is actually quite fantastic, and it should only get better later on because he went from a weekly schedule, a bi-weekly schedule, to a monthly schedule. So of course that leaves more time to improving the art. I'm looking forward to this. This is hardcover edition. I actually believe there's only these editions in the West, but they are hardcovers. They are awesome. It's by Kodansha Comics. And I can't wait to get the last 5 of these. There might actually be 12 out once I actually catch up, because I'm not in a rush to buy them. I'll just buy them slowly whenever I have extra money for it. So yeah, Vinland Saga. Very much looking forward to start reading this series. Now, next up is All You Need Is Kill. It is a 2-in-1 volume, and it is by the same artist as who created Bakuman and also Death Note. All You Need Is Kill is based on a short story called All You Need Is Kill, which is the same short story that Edge of Tomorrow by Tom Cruise and Emma Stone. No, the other Emma. Anyway, it's the same one that this movie is based on. It's the same story, just different philosophies, different themes that it dives into. It is very short, it is quite good. I wanted more, and I think what is put in here is not optimized, but it's still very much worth a read. So if you either have read the original short story or watched Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever it's called now these days, if you watched that or read that and you wanted more, then definitely give this a go. It is actually quite good. I also love the cover and back of this 2-in-1 edition. It looks awesome with the contrasting of our 2 main characters, which I can't remember the name of because it's been such a long time since I read it. But yes, it is awesome. And speaking of Death Note, and right here we have Death Note in the black edition. In my opinion, the superior way to collect Death Note. Not that I have anything against the singles, but I just appreciate this upscaled edition, which is or has black sides and all that. Now, Death Note is a great series. A lot of people have heard about it. It is very text heavy, so if you have not used to read comics but are used to read novels or such, then this might be a good transition. It is a cat and mouse series. People bitch about the later half of this series, and I don't see why, because it is so distinct from the first part in part of what the philosophies and characteristics of our main antagonist and protagonist, that I think it actually works well, but they just suck up to a specific character too much in the first half. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, then of course that is fine. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just my take on it. I actually enjoy everything of it. Next off, you have volume 13, which is just a data book or how to read. It just gives extra information on it, and I bought that because I still wanted to complete my Death Note collection. And then at the end we have an actual Death Note rip-off, an actual Death Note replica. It has some extra material in there, like how to use it and some of the names that Light actually put in the novel in there, as well as certain characters and a spoiler in there as well. So I think it's fine. There are some poor imitators out there with very bad English translations. I haven't found that in this one yet, so I'm thinking that I actually got lucky buying this. So this is my second shelf right here. And now on to the third one. Getting further down. Alright. The third shelf right here. And over here you see my arts collection. These are art books of different stories or series. I got the first one of One Piece Color Walks, which of course is the colors of, you get the idea of One Piece. Then after that I got the two ones of Naruto. There exists one more, but I'll get to that in a bit. And then there is Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball art book. So this is all the Shonen Jump covers or color illustrations or whatnot he has ever done, plus an interview with him at the end. The only problem with this book is that it doesn't exist in English. I am very sorry. This is the Danish one. So hope that this at some point someday will actually translate that book, because it is generally awesome. And then a non-Akira Toriyama art book about Dragon Ball. It is Learn to Draw Manga, specifically Dragon Ball, with a Danish artist that just went through some of the techniques and such that Akira Toriyama used. Now coming back to One Piece Color Walk and the Naruto. Again, Danish manga was cancelled a long time ago. This is also why I don't have everything of Naruto. So we only managed to get one color walk of One Piece and the first two of Naruto. Now there exist 3 for Naruto, so I think I will buy this edition of the third one at some point. So I got those, and then for One Piece Color Walk, the Wiz have now done a 3-in-1 hardcover edition of Color Walk, so you get 3 Color Walks in one book. So I'm gonna do that instead, just to complete it, because they are actually quite good. I actually love not only the colors but also the extra materials that they get in here. Next up we have Akira, the 35th edition. Holy shit, or collection. Also by Kodansha Comics. I've owned this for a couple of years now and I still haven't got around to reading it. But I will next year. It will actually be the final review I do that year, because I want to make sure that my review format and skills of reviewing manga as such is the best I can be to actually do justice by Akira. I have watched the movie. I love the movie. I know the impact Akira has. I've seen some of the art styles throughout the books. It is impressive. This is of course the box set. If you want to see the box set, I have it up here. Right here it is, the 35th anniversary. I actually think I got it back in 2017 now that I think about it. Holy shit. But I'm looking forward to reading it in these upscaled editions. And also the Akira Club, which I think is just some extra material and extra drawings and kinda like an art collection. I've glimpsed through it and it seems so, but it looks awesome. I'm looking forward to reading this and reviewing it. Yes. So that is my third shelf. Let's get let's get squatting, people. Alright. Down to sitting again. So this is my Pokemon Adventures shelf. It has the first 4 box sets of Pokemon Adventures. It is the red, blue, yellow and green box set. It is the gold, silver and crystal box set. It is the ruby and sapphire box set. And then it is fire red, leaf green and emerald box set. All new additions to my collection this year. Which again, of course, means, because we're in a trend here, I haven't read them yet. But I'm a huge fan of specifically, actually, this part of the games. I have played Pokemon Blue a lot, I've played Pokemon Silver a lot, I have played Pokemon, actually, Omega Sapphire, but it is a remake, but yeah, I've played that. And then Leaf Green, I've played Leaf Green a lot. So I enjoy this part of the story a lot. And in case you don't know, this doesn't follow Ash Ketchum's storyline, it follows the game's storyline. With some liberties here and there, but that is the main gist of it. Now, these box sets are piss poor. They're not good. The standard of these box sets is not good. Now, I don't mind the volumes. The volumes are fine. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with those. It's the box itself. So you can see the boxes often come. Yeah, they're often damaged or just in poor quality. And I wish they would actually fix that. But Pokemon Avengers, the next box set I'm gonna get is the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum box set, which is a big behemoth. So that's the next one. There's not even room for it here, so I don't know. Try to move things around. Alright, that is the fourth shelf here. So let's move on to the next one, which you can kind of already see here. Alright, the next one is my One Piece collection. Again, you might have noticed, it doesn't look like your Viz One Piece collection. Well, it's because it isn't. This is, again, of course, the Danish edition, but as it was with Naruto and a series we will get to in a moment on the last shelf, it was cancelled. Everything Danish manga related was cancelled. So I only have 59 volumes of this series, and they are about to get volume 100 in Japan. I'm a bit behind. I am gonna rectify this at one point and actually get the boxes. There are 3 right now, big box sets, and I want to get those, and then of course the 4th one when it gets out, hopefully next year. If not in 2021, then definitely 2022. I love this series. This is one of my favorite series. I actually think this is my favorite series, my favorite ongoing series right now. It has a lot of flaws, sure. There is not much character growth in here. There's a lot of character development. Every character is very, very, very defined. And the world building is some of the best world building you have ever read, if not the best world building in manga. It's of course after this discussion and debate, but it is insane. The scope of it is awesome. Just to show you how big the story is, besides that it is, soon to be 100 volumes. We have almost gotten to chapter 1000. We will get that at the beginning of next year. 1000 chapters. But One Piece is distinctly divided into 3 parts. Now I know often stories and mangas are divided into sagas with divided sub-arcs. Well, it's also in here, but to distinguish it more, then One Piece is divided into 3 parts. It is divided into the prologue, then the Paradise part, and then the New World part, or pre and post time skip. The prologue is pretty much from volume 1 up to kinda mid volume 12. So the first 102 or 3 chapters is just the prologue. But what is confined in those chapters gives a good indicator of how the rest of the story is gonna be structured. It's just in a much smaller scale than the rest. It's only gonna get bigger in the second part of the series, and then in the third part is completely out of way. But I love this series. It is great. It is about pirates, but the best pirates, the most awesome pirates ever. There's a lot of different abilities, but what I love about this series is that from the get-go, you know the end goal. And I'm not talking about Naruto becoming Hokage or anything, because even though that is a great goal, it doesn't really move the story forward graphically. He could become the Hokage in Konoha, which is the city that he lives in, and pretty much we don't really move away from Konoha. Again, that's just a flaw of the Naruto series. Not what I'm going to talk about here. But here, our main character, Luffy, which is this guy right here, which you can barely see, that man wants to become Pirate King. So what's the difference between becoming Pirate King and become Hokage? Well, to become Pirate King, you need to reach a certain island in the world. And the way that Oda has built up this world, it is pretty much a straightforward path geographically. So you need to circumvise the world in a very dangerous sea, and when you reach that point, then you become the pirate king. So we have from the get-go set a goal, a destination that we need to arrive to, and then we're just following these characters when they get from one island to the other, experience the cultures and people and hurdles and obstacles and all that, with of course the marine interfering and a lot of other stuff. We are following them along, and we can actually see their progression from when they're getting to the halfway point, which we of course have already reached, and now where we're getting to the final part of the story, which will probably still be like, I don't know, 20 or 30 volumes. But there is a distinct goal in end, there's a tangible goal, so the story justifies itself of being long and doesn't feel like dragged out because you are on a journey. So yeah, that's just a quick tangent around that. Alright, let's get to the next one, where I'm quickly gonna talk about an issue I have with this. And again, this is, my camera stand can't go any further, so I need to go handheld. So sorry for the shakiness. Alright, this is my shaken shelf. And before we get to the series right over here, I'm gonna talk about this for just a short minute. So those are data books of One Piece. They are called One Piece Red, One Piece Blue. There exist more. There exist a One Piece Yellow, a One Piece Green, and a One Piece Deep Blue. And I think those are it before it became the Vivi cards. Anywho, I have spoken or emailed with about these because they don't exist in English. Only these two exist in Danish. And I think almost all of them exist in German, so lucky bastards. But I talked to Wiz about this, if there was any plans on ever translating them. There isn't. However, that is not quite true, because if enough fans show interest in getting these bad boys translated, and trust me, you want these bad boys translated. There's a lot of good juice just in One Piece Red and One Piece Blue about the One Piece world. So if you're a fan of it, you want these translated. So if there's not interest in it, then of course they will consider translating them. So people, spam this on Twitter, getting One Piece data books translated, and hopefully maybe also in the future the Vivi cards. I mean, it is a money cow for this to do that. So yeah, just you know, get them to do that. Next up we have Yugioh right here, and in the bottom right here, I'm sorry, it's getting dark down there, and then rest of Yugioh up to volume 38. So that is complete. That is all there is, and I love this series. Now it is a hit and miss with a lot of people. I understand that. It's about the card game. You have of course heard about the card game, but it is about the card game. Except that the card game isn't relevant until I think it's volume 10 or 12 or something. So quite far into the series before the card game becomes the focus. But I do enjoy the story. I appreciate what it's trying to tell about one's self-worth and such. And also, as you can see, this is not like the English one. So it isn't divided into Battle City, the Pharaoh arc, the island thing I can't remember, and so on and so forth. It's not divided into that. It's just one continuous story. But what I do like, and just quick get a glimpse of it, is that if you can see here, the background here is actually hieroglyphs on a stone wall. So it's kind of fitting with the whole Egyptian theme. That is, so I like it, but be aware, you have to go almost a third through the series to be able to tell if you actually like it. Then at the bottom shelf here, we have Fullmetal Alchemist, the Danish edition. Now I have 18 of the 19 volumes that came out before it got cancelled, and I was considering buying the box set to complete it from this until the Fullmetal edition came out. So I'm gonna complete that. I'm still gonna keep this, but I'm gonna keep it because, you know, sentimental value, and again, they're quite rare. They're out of print. Then over here we have two small collections of manga. It is something that Carlsen Manga, who released all Danish manga, basically did. It was kind of a stunt, but it consists not full chapters, but beginning chapters of different mangas that they were actually selling, and then you could read through it, just get a glimpse, a teaser of each of those series, and see if there's something you wanted to buy. And actually One Piece was one of those that I read. There's a part of One Piece in both of those, red and blue there, of the first chapter. But I read that part and actually got interested in the manga. I've actually seen the anime beforehand, but that was got me into buying the manga, so I'm glad for that. Then besides that, we have Astro Boy. It is a reimagination of the origins of Astro Boy. It's quite good. It's short, it's sweet. Do pick it up if you're able to, or at least read it if you're able to. It's actually quite good. And that also means that I have 2 reimaginations of Astro Boy storylines, but I don't have the original one. That next to there we don't talk about. If your question is about it, then feel free to ask, but we do not talk about the monstrosity that I need to do stuff about that. So, alright, I need to get up and then I'm gonna end this video. I've been recording for 1 hour and 50 minutes, Jesus Christ. Alright, up with me. Holy shit, I can't even manage to put the camera in the right place to end this video where it was before, so sorry for the shifting perspective. So that is my manga collection of 2020. I hope you enjoyed the different format, mostly because I have never seen anyone kind of show what manga they bought that year, but also I was trying to put in some B-roll. I've never done B-roll before, but I was trying to put in some B-roll to kind of, keep it interesting. So if you have any thoughts on how I constructed this video, then please leave them down in the comments below, because I do need the feedback. I'm still trying to, find out how you do this shit on YouTube. And besides that, what manga collection do you have, and what kind of manga videos would you like to see me do? Now, I don't only do manga videos, I also do movie and series reviews, and those will not go away, but I don't mind diving into other stuff manga related. I have some ideas that I need to explore next year, and the first one you will see quite recently. It will come not too long into 2021. So, and of course my manga reviews. So what do you think about my manga collection? Do you think that I'm missing something? Do you think that there's something I need to buy? I do have ideas of what I'm gonna buy next year, but I'm saving that for another video, because this is as long as it is. I've been recording for, as I stated, over 1 hour and 50 minutes, so I need a break. So yeah, I have roughly, I think, I actually have the exact number. So I have 368 volumes of manga. Now, I haven't taken into consideration that most of my Danish Fullmetal Alchemist volumes I actually have in the Fullmetal edition. So I'm still counting both of them. For now, I might not next year when I'm, overtaking my Danish volumes. But anywho, I have 368 volumes, which means that next year I should be at least able to break the 400 volume mark, maybe the 500 mark. What I also want to say just before I go here is, in case that you are wanting to start your own manga collection, or you have a small manga collection and you're just baffled on how are you ever gonna catch up to the big collectors out there. There are some out there. Insidious Sweet is one of those, I know. And also the Omnibus Collector, I think he's called, where they have thousands upon thousands of volumes. How are you gonna measure up to those? Well, you're not gonna do it overnight. Just look at me. Last year I had 260 or 70 volumes, and then this year I have over 360 volumes. So it is a slow journey. I was also hoping that since I started out with 250 volumes when I started this series, that it will give you some courage, some hope that you can also get there eventually. Again, it's not about having as much volumes and series as possible. It's only about having the series and volumes that you enjoy reading. So, with that being said, how is your manga collection looking out? And do you even have a manga collection? Do you consider starting one? Do you need help from that, or some input at least, what I could give? And if nothing else, I'm looking very much forward to sharing my manga enthusiasm with all of you next year. And hopefully when we get to my manga collection next year, I won't say I haven't read this series. I haven't read this series with almost half of them, because there's a lot of series in here just in frame. I think I've only read 2 of them. Yeah, I have 3 of them. I have read Monster, I have read Death Note, I've read All You Need Is Kill. Okay, and Planet Test, so 4 of them. But the others here, I haven't read yet. So I'm working on that. Anywho, thank you for this journey. Again, if you have some critique, constructive critique, mind you, of my video style this year compared to last year, if you want to see that, I just showed a time lapse of all the covers of each volume and then talked over it. So if you have some inputs, please leave it down. And otherwise, I hope you have a safe new year, and let's hope that 2021 will be just a tiny bit better, if not more, than 2020. So until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. See ya. Oh yeah.